There's a kind of pain that doesn't make noise, it doesn't scream, and it doesn't ask for help. It just sits quietly inside you, growing. And the scariest part? No one sees it. You smile like everything is fine, and you talk like nothing ever happened. You show up for people, even when you're falling apart inside. Because, somewhere along the way, you learn something dangerous, that your pain is a burden, that your feelings are too much, and that healing should be silent. So, you chose to heal, without telling anyone. But let me tell you something, honestly, healing alone doesn't mean healing wrong. Sometimes, it's the strongest thing you can do. You don't always need an audience to rebuild yourself. You don't need to post your breakdowns, and you don't need validation from people who never understood you. You don't need to explain your pain to people who weren't there when it broke you. Some healing is meant to be private, sacred, and quiet, because when you heal in silence, you learn who you really are, not the version people expect, not the version shaped by trauma, but the real you, underneath everything. Healing alone starts in the smallest moments. It's choosing not to text them back. It's sitting with your feelings, instead of running from them. It's crying at night, and still waking up the next morning. It's messy, it's slow, and sometimes it feels like nothing is changing. But something is. You're becoming stronger in ways no one can see. You're learning to sit with yourself. You're learning to understand your emotions instead of suppressing them. You're learning that loneliness doesn't always mean being alone. Sometimes it means meeting yourself for the first time. Let's be real. Healing alone is hard. There are nights when everything hits at once. Memories, regrets, what-ifs, the kind of thoughts that make your chest feel heavy, and it's truly overwhelming. And in those moments, you wish someone would just understand. But no one comes. And that's when you have a choice, to break or to rebuild. And every time you choose to stay, to feel, to breathe through it instead of escaping, you rebuild a piece of yourself. You don't need to rush your healing. You don't need to prove anything. This isn't a race. You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to have days where you feel like you've gone backwards. Because healing isn't a straight line, it's a cycle. Some days you'll feel okay, and some days you'll feel everything all over again. That doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're human. One of the hardest parts of healing silently is not having anyone to say, "I see you." So let me say it for you, I see you. I see the effort you're putting in, I see the battles you're fighting in your head, and I see how hard you're trying to stay strong, even when no one else notices. You don't have to tell the world your story, but don't hide it from yourself. Feel it, understand it, and grow from it. Because one day, you'll wake up and realize something changed. The things that once broke you don't hurt the same anymore. The memories won't feel as heavy, the silence won't feel so loud. And you'll sit there, quietly, proud of yourself, not because anyone clapped for you, but because you survived something no one even knew you were going through. That's real healing, not loud, not perfect, not visible, but real. So if you're healing right now in silence, keep going. Even when it feels pointless, even when it hurts, even when you feel alone. Because one day, this quiet healing will turn into a peaceful life. And no one will ever know how much strength it took to get there. And maybe that's your power. There's a version of you that no one has ever met, not your friends, not your family, not even the people who think they know you best. It's the version of you that breaks down at 2 a.m., the one that overthinks everything, and the one that replays conversations. You've mastered the art of looking okay, and you laugh at the right moments, but it's all a facade. You reply to messages like nothing is wrong, and you say, "I'm fine," so easily it almost feels true. But deep down, you're tired, not just physically, but emotionally, the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. And no one talks about this kind of exhaustion because it's invisible. You can go through your entire day smiling while carrying a storm inside your chest and nobody notices. So, you start healing on your own, not because you want to, but because you feel like you have to, because explaining your pain feels harder than carrying it. Because every time you tried to open up, you felt misunderstood or worse, ignored. So now you keep it all inside, and honestly, that kind of silence can either destroy you or transform you. At first, it feels like you're losing yourself. You question everything. Why am I like this? Why can't I just be normal? Why does everything affect me so deeply? And those questions don't have easy answers, but they do have a purpose. Because healing begins with awareness, not fixing, not forcing yourself to be okay, just noticing. Noticing your patterns, noticing what hurts you, what triggers you, what drains you. And slowly, you start understanding yourself in ways no one else ever did. You realize you weren't too sensitive, you were just surrounded by people who didn't know how to handle your depth. You weren't overreacting, you were reacting to things you kept ignoring for too long. You weren't weak, you were just tired of being strong for everyone else. And that realization, it changes everything, because now, instead of blaming yourself, you start listening to yourself. Healing alone teaches you something powerful, how to become your own safe place. You stop running to people for validation, you stop needing constant reassurance, you stop explaining your worth to people who never questioned losing you. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when your thoughts get loud, and even when silence feels heavy. Because you're learning something most people avoid their whole lives, how to be okay on your own. And no, that doesn't mean you don't want people, it just means you no longer depend on them to feel whole. That's growth, quiet growth, the kind no one claps for. But it changes your entire life. There will be nights when healing feels like breaking, when your chest feels tight, your thoughts won't stop, and everything reminds you of what you're trying to forget. And in those moments, you'll be tempted to distract yourself, scroll, text someone, avoid the feeling. But healing asks for something different. It asks you to stay, to feel it fully, to sit in the discomfort without escaping. Because emotions don't leave when you ignore them. They stay, they build, they wait, until you finally face them. And when you do, it hurts, more than you expected, but also, it frees you. Because that pain you've been avoiding, it's not there to destroy you, it's there to release you. Every tear you cry alone, every moment you choose not to go back to what hurt you, every time you say, I deserve better, even when it's hard, you are healing. Even if it doesn't feel like it. Healing isn't always visible. Sometimes it looks like not reacting the way you used to, not chasing people who ignore you, not blaming yourself for everything. Sometimes healing looks like distance, like silence, like choosing yourself over and over again. And yes, it gets lonely, because when you start healing, you also start outgrowing people, habits, versions of yourself. And outgrowing things hurts, even if they weren't good for you, even if they were the reason you were in pain, because you were attached. And letting go, even of what hurts, is never easy. But here's the truth no one tells you. You don't heal by holding on, you heal by releasing. Releasing the version of you that kept settling, and that takes, truly, a lot of courage. Releasing the need to be understood by everyone, and the past that you keep replaying, is a process that requires patience and courage, and it is the kind of courage that grows in silence. One day, you will notice something different, and it will be a subtle, yet profound change. You won't feel the urge to check their profile anymore, you won't reread old messages, and you won't question your worth the way you used to. And it won't happen suddenly, but rather, it will happen quietly, in the middle of a normal day, when you least expect it. You will realize it doesn't hurt the same anymore, and that's when you will understand that healing was happening all along, even in the moments you thought you were stuck, even when you felt like nothing was changing, and even when you wanted to give up. You are becoming someone stronger, someone softer, but wiser, someone who doesn't break easily anymore. And the most beautiful part? You did it alone, not because you had no one, but because you chose yourself, and that truly is a remarkable thing. And maybe that's what healing was always meant to be, a quiet, personal journey. If you are silently healing, this podcast is for you. For the ones who cry alone, think too much, and feel everything deeply. You don't need to tell the world your pain to prove it's real, because healing in silence is still healing, and it is truly a powerful thing. Stay till the end. You might feel understood for the first time, and that in itself is a kind of healing. And if no one told you this today, I'm proud of you, not for being perfect, but for not giving up on yourself. For choosing to stay, even when it hurt, and for healing, even when no one was watching. You don't need the world to understand your journey for it to be real. You don't need to explain your pain for it to matter. Just know this. Every small step you're taking and every quiet moment you're surviving, it's all leading you somewhere better. So, take your time and be gentle with yourself, then keep going even if it's slow. Because one day, you'll look back at this version of yourself and realize you made it. Until then, stay soft, stay strong, and most importantly, stay with yourself.